Imagine knowing with absolute certainty that you are never going to die.
Right, which is a wild concept.
Totally. And I don't mean in a metaphorical,
Yeah.
legacy building sense, but biologically. Like you just cancel your physical expiration date.
Yeah, just skipping it entirely.
Exactly. Today we're unpacking a text that claims exactly that. Pastor Chris's April 19th Rhapsody of Realities devotional. We're going to look at the specific theological architecture it builds around faith and this concept called the rapture.
Right.
And
Yeah, we're just looking at how the author outlines this really radical reframing of mortality. He points to a specific, almost like a line of code in the Bible.
like 1 Corinthians 15.51, right?
Exactly. Which says, "We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed." The devotional interprets that word, sleep, as a direct synonym for physical death.
Okay, so by swapping those terms out, the text builds a case that an entire generation of the church will undergo what it calls translation.
Or the rapture.
Yeah.
And for anyone unfamiliar with the term, the rapture is basically a theological concept where believers are suddenly taken up to heaven. They just entirely bypass the dying process.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if mortality is a universal biological checkout process, how does this text argue that someone can just...
Walk out of the store without paying.
Yeah. Like, how do you just walk out? And wait, if I'm reading this today, the author's telling me I am the one who gets to skip death.
Yeah.
How does the text justify applying an ancient verse to someone sitting on their couch right now?
Well, the urgency in the text is super immediate. It insists that this current generation, like the people reading the devotional today, is the one that will experience this bypass.
Okay.
But the crucial mechanism here isn't just, being alive at the right time in history. The text stresses that this rapture requires a highly specific trigger, which it calls incontrovertible faith.
Incontrovertible faith. So 0 doubts.
Right. It categorically states that this biological override will not happen if there is unbelief.
But, I mean, if faith is the required trigger, a claim this massive needs some kind of precedent. You can't just tell people they're going to, float away without pointing to a successful test run.
Oh, definitely. And the text actually provides one. It treats the Old Testament figure Enoch almost like legal case law.
Oh, wow. Legal precedent for immortality.
Yeah, exactly. So according to Hebrews 11.5, Enoch was translated so he wouldn't see death, specifically because he pleased God.
Right, okay.
And the underlying causality the devotional relies on here is that without faith, it's impossible to please God. Therefore, Enoch's bypass was triggered by faith.
So it operates as a historical blueprint.
Yeah.
The logic asserts that the mechanism has already been, proven to work.
Yep. So the text is telling readers they belong to that exact same lineage of faith. It's taking a historical anomaly and turning it into a replicable formula for the modern reader.
A replicable formula. That's fascinating. And how does the text define that formula?
It says, expectation is faith in demonstration.
Expectation is faith in demonstration.
Right. This is where the author moves faith away from just a passive intellectual agreement and turns it into an active posture. To explain how this works, physically and spiritually, it uses an example from the biblical book of Acts.
Oh, the paralyzed man at the temple entrance. The beautiful gate.
That's the one. When the apostles Peter and John walked by, the man didn't just passively sit there. The text notes he looked at them, actively expecting to receive something.
So the author uses that expectant gaze as the ultimate blueprint. By constantly anticipating the soon return of the Lord, which I think references Hebrews 9.28, the reader is demonstrating the required faith.
Exactly. The expectation itself is what bridges the gap between just believing a concept in your head and actively triggering the physical event.
Wow. So the source's ultimate call to action is really a radical shift in daily consciousness.
It really is. The author wants readers to live every single day on high alert, completely aware that they are the generation privileged to experience this moment. They are told the Word is actively building them for this exact transition.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating psychological question for you to ponder.
Yeah.
If expectation truly is faith in demonstration, as this text claims, how does maintaining a constant high alert anticipation for a world-altering event, this ultimate biological bypass change, the way a person engages with the mundane realities of their everyday life?
We trust you were blessed by this episode. To gain unlimited access to Rhapsody of Realities by Pastor Chris, please download the Rhapsody app using the link myapp.rhapsodyofrealities.org. God bless you.